What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic, and I have yet another collection update for you. So the last one, unfortunately, took a long time to put together. Like, I've been done with that one for a while, but I had some editing issues. So, yeah, I have another one pretty much ready to go already. This one, yet again, got a bunch of stuff. The Amazon gift cards, there's still more of that. And also, I got some stuff from some people, actually 3 different people. 2 of them are actually artists that sent me their own work. And one of them is one of our subscribers and longtime commenter, Muttering Muttley, who sent me a selection of CDs, which I was very grateful for as well. So once again, this actually covers more of stuff I missed from last year, and then just some stuff that I was looking forward to round out my collection of certain bands. But yeah, this is a pretty nasty stack, so let's get into it. Dead Chasm. This is their self-titled EP, came out last year on FDA Records. This is actually, I think, a side project formed by members of Fuoco Fatuo, which is a awesome death doom / funeral doom band that literally creeped us the fuck out when we listened to it for the first time, and Psychotomy, which is an awesome Italian death metal band as well. And this is different than both of those. This is just kind of flat out old school death metal, very grimy guitar tone. Like, it's almost kind of that HM2 sound, but it's very deep and very bottom heavy, and it just sounds fucking gross. So naturally, I really liked it. The vocals are mostly deep roars. They're kind of cavernous. Like, this is cavernous death metal, I guess, but not too cavernous. Well, until you get to Left Unknown with its giant, bleak, extra cavernous opening. Like, it's decidedly different in terms of the production versus the rest of it. Honestly, I would say like a lot of this is very similar to Parallax Occlusion. Like, it definitely has some more doom-laden riffs, but it's kind of that nice groove-laden death metal. Lots of sinister tremolo riffs, very reminiscent of Morbid Angel. And again, for the most part, kind of like groovy, just nasty, old-school death metal, again, until you get to Left Unknown, which is kind of an oddity of a track. It feels like 2 separate ideas kind of crammed together. Like, you have this very cavernous, almost kind of worm-like, you know, kind of gothic, dingy atmosphere to one part of the song, and then it takes a hard transition into, like, suffocation-style blast beats and just, like, really vicious, old-school death metal. And then it kind of goes right back to the worm stuff. The transitions are a little bit odd, but overall I did like the song, and the last track is almost like a bonus cover of Nirvana 2002's Slumber, which that is definitely not the Nirvana that most people think of. Really cool underground Swedish death metal act that really didn't come out with much. I have a collection of their stuff. It's fucking awesome, and that song is a giant fucking standout, and they nail it. Overall, though, I dug this. Like, I think this is just really solid, grimy, old-school death metal. There's some really cool atmospheric bits on here that kind of make it extra dingy, a little bit of that incantation cavernousness that's all over this. If you like shit like that, and like Morbid Angel and Parallax Occlusion, I would say definitely check this out. Pretty nasty EP. Algebra Pulse. Now, there's a question mark on Pulse, so I don't know if I'm supposed to say Pulse instead, but anyway, this is the 3rd album from this Swiss thrash metal act. I actually got their most recent album, Chiroptera, in the Metalhead box, and I absolutely loved it. Like, that was an absolutely fantastic album, so naturally I wanted more. And I believe it was Brian Arkham that recommended this one to me, so I saw it and I snagged it, and holy shit, this is fucking incredible. This is honestly some of the best modern thrash I've heard just in terms of the songwriting. Like, it's very dynamic, very aggressive. There's a lot of callbacks to stuff that I absolutely love, like Sepultura's Arise and Beneath the Remains, but as well as like kind of like more heavy, like almost death thrash bands like Devastation, Morbid Saint, and Demolition Hammer. As much as this is packed with just high energy, aggro fucking riffing and just intense songs, namely Inner Constraints, Manipulated Soul was awesome. Quantum God is possibly my favorite track on there, Digital Master. There are tons of dynamics, melodies. It's very complex, riffy writing, but it never loses the hook. It is always fucking going, and man, the lead plan here is absolutely fantastic. The songs overall are like a little bit longer, like, you know, they're not like your standard short thrash tracks. A lot of them are 5 minutes plus, but again, the songwriting keeps you interested, and all the songs stand out from one another. There's a lot of different appeal to each song. Like Quantum God starts off almost kind of like a Mastodon song, like early Mastodon, definitely something kind of similar to like Leviathan, before exploding into just full tilt boogie fucking thrash metal with just machine gun riffs and just such precise writing. And while a lot of this is very fast, like very aggressive, there's some great groovy breakdowns, especially Simulated Mind. Holy shit. That fucking breakdown is absolutely massive. My only gripe with this, and it's the same gripe that I had about Chiroptera, are the vocals. For as dynamic and outstanding as the music is, the vocals feel kind of flat. Like it's kind of a, you know, just dialed in performance where it's just a steady sort of grunt. When it comes down to doing more melodic, you know, passages, like trying to carry a tune over the riff, often it falls flat, and even the growl itself doesn't necessarily feel that powerful, which sucks because that's the only thing that kind of hampers this just a little bit. But luckily the music on here is so goddamn good that I was honestly able to look past the vocals at a certain point. Like I was just focusing on the riffs and just the outright intensity of this album. And it's like this album fucking knows my algorithm. The fucking closer is a cover of Dead Embryonic Cells, one of my favorite fucking Sepultura tracks, and they absolutely fucking crush it. Musically, I think this is some of the best fucking thrash I've heard here recently. I think the songs are dynamic, they're really aggressive, but they're fiercely catchy. The riff writing in here is absolutely incredible. It's just the vocals. The vocals are the one thing that kind of hurt this a bit, but honestly, it doesn't hurt it enough for me to not enjoy it. If you love bands like Devastation, again, Demolition Hammer, Sepultura, again, Morbid Saint, check this band out. This is absolutely fucking fantastic thrash. Again, the vocals might be an acquired taste, like you might really dig them. I just think they're kind of flat, but overall, it does not hurt the enjoyability of this album. This is fucking amazing stuff. Definitely check this out. All right, the next three on here are by the same band, and this was one that was sent to me courtesy of the guy that wrote all this music. And that band is Expired. Now, this is the debut EP from this one-man experimental thrash project. Shane Mazzaroli is the guy that is in charge of everything on here. He was in a band called Earth AD a while ago. I think I've heard of that. Either that or I'm confusing it with the name of the Misfits album, but I'm reasonably sure I have heard of that band, but I've never jammed them. Anyway, a while ago, he reached out to me on Facebook and asked if he could send me some stuff, and he sent me a bunch of stuff. In fact, I'm actually wearing the shirt he sent me too, which is really cool. Different logo, but we'll get to that in the later releases, but thank you again for the shirt. Anyway, he specifically told me the main influences on this project were Voivod, Prong, and Celtic Frost. And those are some wildly different bands, so I was really curious about this one. And honestly, I hear more Voivod and Prong than anything else. Like, mostly Voivod. The vocals on here are very strange, kind of has that, you know, weird, like, atonal thing that Snake does, but Snake does so well. But the riffs, while they are, like, you know, kind of distant here and there and very odd, they have that sort of Prong-like aggression that you would get at a lot of their earlier stuff, like, I would say, going all the way through Cleansing. Now, you probably notice I have different album art up for this one. It's because that's the only art I could find for this one. But this is very strange. First off, I think it's vocally a little busy because there are lots of layered vocals. Like, you have that sort of Snake-like delivery, and then behind that you have, I mean, kind of Tommy Victor's sort of like gruff delivery behind that, and it's kind of odd. And with the music being experimental in nature, there's a lot of like wild transitions on here that don't necessarily make a lot of sense, at least to me, but I think that's part of the Voivod appeal, which Voivod is fucking Voivod. They do what they want, and I fucking love them. But I think where he gets it right in terms of blending the three influences that he told me is Genocide, and it's spelled Jenna space side. So it's like a woman's name, and I don't know, that's kind of clever. Anyway, that song actually has a little bit more of that Celtic Frost side of it. It's a little bit more dark, a little bit more sinister. And honestly, that was probably the biggest standout for me on here. A lot of this stuff, again, with experimental music, you're trying different things, you're sort of merging genres, like it's, I don't know, like not necessarily prog because the songs are relatively short and I don't think they have like a traditional prog feel to them, but they're definitely strange, and I think that this is sort of like just sort of figuring out the sound, and where some of the stuff really worked, some of it kind of didn't for me. But overall, I thought this was really interesting. Like, this made me really interested to listen to the other two albums I got. I do like its creativity in terms of combining those three main influences. I think it's done pretty well considering how different those three main influences are. There's some really interesting atmosphere in here, like Unnatural Disaster. I think there were like submarine noises on there. I don't know, it was a little strange. I thought I left something like open on another tab and it was just playing like submarine footage or some shit. I don't know. That's happened before where I got confused and I had another tab open. It's like, oh, that's why that sound was there. That totally wasn't part of the album. Anyway, very interesting start to this one, and it would only get more interesting and possibly more strange with the next one, which is their first full length, or rather his first full length, The Reaper line, which came out in 2021. And this one, I feel like they hammered out some of the, you know, weirdness that didn't work, but also added a bunch of other stuff that's just, well, equally as strange. First off, I think the production on here is better. I think the drum sound stands out a bit more, and I like the guitar tone here. The guitar tone, a little bit more raw, a little bit more chunky, actually kind of gives it more of a thrashy bite. And honestly, it makes the very Slayer-ish riffs on the title track really sink in, and then how it pivots back and forth between like punk too. Like there's a little bit of like D-beat, sort of crusty punk and Slayer riffs kind of going back and forth. But this one, I think, genre hops even more. The song Imperfections, wildly different than what I was expecting. It's kind of piano driven. It's very gothic and very doomy. Something that definitely wasn't on the EP at all. And Caress of Darkness is kind of the same way, but it adds more like spacey atmosphere. And I think it was the song Horizon that has both acoustic and electric guitars layered. And actually it has like a really interesting melody, but Nightfall was the one that was like, okay, you went full fucking Voivod on that one, because that actually sounds kind of like a Voivod song. And vocally, I do think it's better. It still does the layering thing, but not nearly as much. And there are some sections where it kind of loses the vocal melody overall. And again, it being experimental and kind of genre hopping, like it's kind of hard to get a hold on this album. Like the biggest anchor point for me are the thrashy riffs, but going back and forth between like, you know, straight up thrash riffs and Voivod's more just strange dissonant riffs. Some of this can be kind of hard to hold on to. But again, I like the willingness to experiment and this whole defying of categorization on here, because this is kind of hard to pigeonhole under one thing. But yeah, definitely saw this as an improvement, definitely expanded on some ideas. Still very strange, but that's kind of the name of the game here. But yeah, this was really solid. And then we are on to the third album, which came out this year. This is Ominous. And honestly, this is the most put together one out of the batch. And I like this whole steady improvement. These ideas probably are really tough to hammer out just in terms of combining all these styles. And I think with each one, they're doing them a little bit better, or rather he is. I keep saying they because band name, I just think they, not a person, but yeah, it's one dude. Again, we have an improvement in the production. I think the guitars sound a bit thicker on here. The drums sound much better. I think the vocal approach is a little bit different. It's more clean vocals, like cleaner, like it's still sort of that Voivodish style of delivery, but they are cleaner overall just in terms of like there's not a lot of growls behind them this time. And again, the riff work here is a little bit different. They added some stuff like the opening track, Night Traveler. It's kind of a High on Fire riff that's on there. Like that's thing a little bit different. It feels again like thicker, a little bit fuzzier and a little bit chunkier. And with that really loud bass in this mix, I don't know, it feels more aggressive. I would even say some of the cleans kind of remind me of like early Mastodon, like when they were still kind of figuring out like how to do the vocal approaches, because all of them had, you know, very different vocals. So again, this definitely brings a lot more variety and adds some elements. And I think the main thing is it gels a little bit better, but there's definitely some fucking weird ones on here once again. The Alchemist almost entirely consists of bass and drums and very dreary vocals. It's very chanty. I don't know. It's like a strange, odd track. Like it has like sort of an oddly catchy appeal to it, but it's, I don't know, like just very weird. And I think there's more atmosphere in here. Like there's definitely more like soundscapes behind the music. I do think it may have come at the sacrifice of some thrash, because I feel like the thrash elements are dialed back a little bit on this one. Or at least like the straightforward thrash, because you do get some more Voivod stuff. My Last Breath and Dead of Winter are very much like Voivod songs, actually kind of like modern Voivod. But again, I think this kind of works more. Like, I think it kind of embraces more of the strange charm, and I don't know, like as much as I missed the thrash elements, I think this was just a more interesting listen, like in terms of being surprising in terms of like where all they went. I do think the last track, Under a Blanket of Frozen Stars, might be like the roughest track on here, just in terms of the songwriting. It feels less put together than others, but overall, I like this. Actually, this band I thought was really interesting. it's really difficult to put all three of those main influences, again, Celtic Frost, Prong, and Voivod, and kind of wrap them all together. Like, I don't know, those bands seem like they would kind of like butt heads stylistically, but overall, like, for the most part, this worked. And over the course of the releases, I think it got better and more uniform. I would definitely be curious to see what all they do from this point. I mean, this did just come out, so I think we got some time before Shane goes back to the studio. Or maybe we don't. Maybe he's already working on the next one, but this is a very interesting project. I'm going to leave links, of course, to all this music, but yeah, definitely check this one out. It's pretty fucking wild. And thank you again, Shane, for sending me this stuff. Much appreciated. Thank you for the shirt once again. And yeah, man, good luck on this stuff. This is a really interesting project for damn sure. All right, the next three, once again, are by the same band. And that band is Paradise Lost. So, finally got their debut. Lost Paradise came out in 1990. This is, of course, the start of this UK fucking Death Doom legendary fucking band. One of my favorites in Death Doom. And I've been meaning to get this for a long time. And holy shit, this is possibly their heaviest album. I would say this is more just groovy death metal with the occasional, like, big Death Doom breakdown than it is flat out Death Doom. Like, this is just fucking heavy as hell. The riffs are notably more aggressive and less dreary than what you would usually associate with Paradise Lost. In fact, on their next album, Gothic, you would see a bit of a stylistic shift, and that's definitely more of a Death Doom album with, well, I mean, like, more gothic atmosphere. The atmosphere in here is just fucking heavy. The guitar tone is dirty, it's fucking crunchy, I fucking love it. The riffs, again, much more sinister, like Paradise Lost, the song on here. Absolutely fucking crushing riffs. I think the drum work is a little bit more active in terms of, like, their later albums. Like, it's definitely looking for more, like, interesting grooves and fills. Like, it's not very slow all the time. Like, most of this is more mid-tempo with Death Doom breakdowns sort of scattered in. And again, some of the most brutal riffs. Fucking Our Savior, Frozen Illusion, Breeding Fear. These riffs are absolutely fucking disgusting, and I think still stand as some of the heaviest fucking music this band has ever written. Now, me being a fan of a lot of this band's later stuff after this album, I do miss the clean vocals, because Nick Holmes is just roaring his fucking balls off in here. He sounds fucking absolutely monstrous, but I like his clean vocals that he threw in later. Like, he's just got this good, like, kind of baritone, dreary fucking voice, and he's fucking excellent at it. But here, just fucking growling. And while he's awesome at that, the only added melody on here, like some atmospheric bits, I think Breeding Fear has some very haunting female vocals on it. And I liked it, but it's such a minimalist amount of atmosphere in here versus just flat out heaviness. I say this is kind of similar to As the Flower Withers, My Dying Bride's debut, except My Dying Bride started off with more of the Death Doom sound, I think, initially. Like, there's more of what I would associate with Death Doom overall on that album than there is on this one. Again, I think this is more of a death metal album. Now, I do have some issues with this, namely the title track just sort of being, I don't know, just there. Like, it's a droning, like, interlude of just a riff, and it's kind of fucking dull. And this does have bonus tracks, but I think it's kind of odd that all the bonus tracks come from Gothic. You have a live version of Eternal, which sounds fucking great, and two different mixes of Gothic and The Painless. And I just thought it was kind of odd that they had, like, tracks from Gothic on here rather than Lost Paradise as bonuses. Like, I feel like that probably should have been on Gothic, maybe? They're still good, it's just I kind of wonder why they're there. But overall, fucking dig this. Like, this is just a fucking monstrous fucking debut. Kind of different than, I would say, a lot of the stuff they did, but this band like to experiment with sound, and we'll definitely get into that here with the next one I'm about to bring up. But yeah, killer debut, and on to the vastly different Host. This is their 7th album, came out in 1999. This is a reissue from 2018, and this is when they went, I would say, industrial, goth rock, alternative metal, call it what you will. It definitely wasn't anything like Lost Paradise or well, anything else in their discography other than this whole era of the band. Now, in terms of this era of the band, I own Symbol of Life and 1 Second. Both of them are definitely more like, again, dreary goth rock, alternative metal, more industrial elements. This one really embraced the industrial elements. I would say this is almost predominantly an electronic album. I know there are real drums on here, or at least there's a real drummer listed, but all the drums sound very electronic. No growls, this is all Nick Holmes singing, and he does a great job. And musically, I would say this is more comparable to Nine Inch Nails, Stabbing Westward, and God Lives Underwater. And to be fair, like some older influences in there too, like Depeche Mode and The Cure. Like, this is more about like melancholy, dreariness, and writing sort of depressing poppy hooks. And honestly, I don't really mind it. Like, I listened to all those bands that I compared this to, and while this isn't what I would go for if I'm in the mood for Paradise Lost, like this is far from the first album I think of, I still like it. I still think this is really well done. These songs are really catchy. The opening track, So Much Is Lost, is a really solid song. I love, in all honesty, Ordinary Days. Permanent Solution, I think, is a really solid, like more of a rocker song, because a lot of these songs are kind of dreary, a little bit slow, and I would say not very guitar driven. I think the electronic effects really kind of take over this, and it is kind of missing a guitar driven punch. Like, they're there, but they're more complementary to all the other stuff going on here, which there are real strings on here, and I think that's really cool. Like, there's really cool string sections, but the electronic elements kind of overpower the guitars. Like, the guitar lines, like in terms of like memorable riffs on here, there aren't many, but it's usually the combination of all the things and Nick Holmes' really solid vocal performance on here that probably makes him a little bit more memorable. Now, I will fully admit this is definitely a very divisive release, especially if you're a longtime fan of the band, but honestly, I dig it. I think this is a solid album. Again, not what I would usually reach for, and if I'm being completely honest, it would definitely be lower on my list in terms of like favorite stuff by Paradise Lost, but I don't think this is bad necessarily. So yeah, I would say check this out. Again, it's not like, well, most of what Paradise Lost does, but if you like stuff like Nine Inch Nails, Stabbing Westward, God Lives Underwater, Depeche Mode, The Cure, all those bands that I listed before, definitely check this out. It's a pretty solid release. So we are moving on from this very interesting era in the band, and the next one we got is in Requiem. This is their 11th album, came out in 2007, and honestly, if you're a fan of current Paradise Lost, and I know I definitely am, I think this is where they really got that sound back. The album before this, which was their self-titled one, still had elements of, you know, the goth rock, more electronic sound. Like, I think it was a little too keyboardy, and the songs still felt structurally safe, like they were still going for the radio hooks. And, you know, that one, you know, I like the effort in terms of getting back to heavier material, but at the same time, I feel like the songwriting was definitely more along the lines of the stuff like, you know, 1 Second, Host, Symbol of Life, and those were more stripped down to be like poppier and accessible. This one kind of gets back to, well, I don't know if like it's full-on death doom, like there are no deep guttural roars in here, but it's gruff, clean singing, and my god, does this bring the fucking doom back. The riffs are fucking heavy, the guitars are prominent once again, and it isn't as though the mood ever really changed with Paradise Lost, like it's always fucking somber and fucking dark and dreary, but now it has a level of oppressiveness to it, and I really dig Nick Holmes' vocals on here as well. Like, I like this gruffer approach where he was saying again, like, there's more power behind it. It sounds catchy, but it still sounds gruff. Like, this is almost maybe more straightforward doom metal, but every now and then you hear something that is a little bit more death metal tinged in the riff work to kind of like make it just a little bit heavier. I like that there's still string arrangements, namely on the song The Enemy. I think they complement the song really well. And while I didn't get the growls back, there's some really good vocal harmonies on Prelude to Descent. Honestly, with the next one, Faith Divides Us, Death Unites Us, I think they would get more towards that heavier sound again. Like, each album after that kind of feels like it's a slow progression towards, you know, well, kind of where they're at right now. Like, I think Medusa and the last one really brought back that death doom sound, but also have kind of pulled in elements of the rest of their career, and they're doing it extraordinarily well. And I think this was kind of the catalyst to really push for the heavier material again. Overall, I really dig this one. Again, no harsh vocals, but strong choruses, good heavy hooks. It sounds dark and sinister again, and yeah, this is a fucking solid album. And honestly, again, through this discography that I've gone through for Paradise Lost, in terms of stuff I own, I don't think I own an album where I'm just like, I don't fucking like this. All of it is good, it's just sometimes a little bit different. But yeah, if you have not checked this one out or any of those Paradise Lost albums out, strongly recommend the band in general. Just check out Paradise Lost and listen to some fucking mopey, gloomy shit with some seriously killer songwriting. Good stuff. Screams of Desolation, Death Embrace Me. This is the second full length from this one-man Alabama black metal act. Came out last year, and so did their first album, or rather his first album. They put out 2 albums in the same year is what I'm getting at. Now this was sent to me by the one guy involved who I think is just anonymous. He goes by, at least on Facebook Messenger, Invicurus, not sure to pronounce that first word, Vita Mortis. And he got a hold of me and said, hey, would you like to check out my band? And I was like, yeah, sure, man. Send me a copy of your CD. I'll gladly check it out. And he even explained to me, he's like, yeah, this is a one-man black metal project, and it's kind of more along the lines of suicidal / depressive black metal, which I will admit really isn't my thing. Like, sometimes that shit's just too bleak. Like, doom metal can be bleak enough, but when it's specifically focused on suicide, then yeah, man, that's kind of difficult to listen to. Like, as far as I go, is I like None. I think Damn Chill of Life is a fantastic fucking album, but dear God, it's hard to listen to. Not because the music's bad, it's because, Jesus, it's so fucking depressing. Anyway, this project is kind of all over the place. I think I was expecting sort of one thing on here, and I got a whole bunch of other stuff. After you get past the intro, which is appropriately dreary, My Tears Run Dry. It's all clean guitars and a very loud bass, and, you know, since it's a one-man project, I'm gonna assume all the drums are a drum machine. But this is very odd, because from song to song, it can drastically change in terms of the style. Like, it's always depressive, that's for damn sure. But in terms of like musical style incorporated with black metal, it can change drastically. Like, again, the opening track with the clean guitars, more prominent bass, and like drum machine, and very dry vocals. In fact, the vocal performance on here, like, there's like no effects on it. So all the vocals are very dry, pretty intelligible, but honestly, the one thing I think this could have needed was some reverb on those vocals, just to make them sound more haunting and creepy. Like, it's black metal. They're supposed to sound like a ghoul shrieking at you from the bottom of a well, or in this case, a very depressed ghoul shrieking at you from the bottom of a well. But yeah, this sort of just bounces around. Like, the song Pain Inside, it's still black metal, but it's like blackened sludge metal, like Church Burn, except, you know, yeah, production's definitely different. Like, I think the guitars are a bit thin on here, and well, the production here is kind of uneven. Like, this is definitely a self-released, self-produced thing. I'm reasonably sure he was the one that worked on all of this. So I give him a little bit of leeway there, because, you know, from track to track, like, the production can really vary. But that song brings in like warm stoner metal riffs and doom metal riffs. And honestly, it was one of my favorites on here. I mean, that actually sounds like that came from, you know, Alabama. Like, that has like a bit of that southern metal tinge to it, but it still has the black metal coldness on there. I think there's some solid melodies and songs like Take Me Away and Cold and Alone. And yeah, man, the lyrics on here are kind of rough, especially when you can understand them, because Take Me Away has some spoken word stuff on there. And man, it's appropriately, it's sad and dreary and depressive. But there are songs there where the production really kind of isn't doing the song any favors. Like, Death Set Me Free has this weird kind of like fading in and out of the guitars, and I don't know if that was intentional, but it kind of makes me like not be able to hold on to the melody, because I'm focusing on this weird thing that's going on with the guitars. And overall, I think the song is pretty decent. Like, there's some really good stuff in here, but I think this has some issues with it in terms of, again, the production. I'm not going to harp on that too much, because this is self-produced, and like, this is, you know, kind of bedroom black metal. So production's never really a huge thing, but it's uneven. Like, there isn't like a uniform vibe to the production. Like, songs sound very different from one another just in terms of the overall mix. And musically, I think there's a lot of good composition here. It's just the execution. It feels like it's still really rough, And again, like some minor tweaks, like definitely add reverb to the vocals because I think that's just going to make it sound more haunting and more cold overall. Now, to be fair, suicidal / depressive black metal really isn't my thing again, but I wanted to give this a chance, and I still think there is some really good stuff in here. It's just really not my style. And I don't know if I'll be the best judge on whether or not this is like good suicidal / depressive black metal. Again, that's not really my thing, but I still urge you guys to check it out. Again, I'll post links down below for my own opinions on this one. I just might not be the right person to really go over this one, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you for saying me this, bro. Keep working at it. Keep fucking doing it. I mean, you put out 2 albums in 1 year, so I mean, you're clearly pretty industrious. So yeah, keep rolling with it, man. And of course, everyone else, check this out. Hellslave Divination. This is this Italian death metal act's second EP, came out in 2017. Jam and John and I were both huge fans of their last full length, From the Sulphur Depths. Absolutely fucking amazing HM2 style death metal. Of course, I'm a fan of it because I said HM2, and as soon as I say that, there's like a tingling sensation down near my nethers. But I saw this in Redefining Darkness's distro, and I was like, well, I gotta check this shit out because, well, I was kind of curious which era this band would be because I know earlier on they had a different vocalist and they were more along the lines of melodic death metal, so more Gothenburg than Stockholm. And this is 100% Stockholm worship. This is packed with everything I love about HM2 death metal. I think the production's fucking great. The guitar tone, of course, fucking rules. I love the vocals. It actually sounds like old school Dismember in a lot of spots. It sounds evil, sinister. Love the cool fade in on Lord of Lies. Like, it really builds up the tension. But man, are these songs catchy. Like, they get stuck in your fucking head. And this is only a 4-song EP, and I loved every track. So this kind of runs similarly to, like, Bloodbath's EPs, because Bloodbath's EPs are fucking legendary. I like that all 4 of the songs are a little bit different. Like, you have, like, a big beast of a closer with Desecration, but the Spawn of Astaroth has decidedly just nasty grooves and breakdowns to it. Like, it's a little bit more slow, mid-tempo. Lord of Lies, kind of the same thing, but it has more of a sinister, dark atmosphere. This is essentially the appetizer before they release From the Sulphur Depths. Like, this pretty much embodies everything that I love about HM2 death metal, just in a smaller form. And I like the production here, but Dan Swano's production on From the Sulphur Depths is fucking amazing. I love just how that album sounds. But yeah, I think this was like under 20 minutes. It's short, it's brutal. Every track on here fucking rips. If you have not checked out this band before, this wouldn't be a bad place to start, but honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. From the Sulphur Depths, it was a year-ender for me. I think it was a year-ender for John, too. Fucking killer HM2 death metal. If you love Bloodbath, Entombed, fucking Dismember, pretty much I'm 100% sure you're gonna dig this. So yeah, check it out. Sparkcrown, Abreaction. This is the 4th full length from this French blackened death metal act. I got into these guys with their last full length, Wolves Amongst the Ashes. I thought it was fucking excellent. And lo and behold, I found out that this band broke up last year, even after putting out a really fucking killer EP that we went over. Actually, between finding out that this band broke up, Malignant Altar broke up, and Terrorizer broke up, kind of shitty run of fucking breakups there. But I've been meaning to get more of this band because I really like what I've heard. And apologies, because I'm not gonna be able to say any of the fucking tracks because they didn't list them on the back and they just left a bunch of weird symbols. So me being me, I only did like cliff notes and wrote down kind of half the track name or something like that. And yeah, no one can read that. No one can read that ever. I don't even know if those symbols mean anything or they're a representation of the tracks. But anyway, I really dig this. This is just nasty, chuggy, blackened death metal. I love the riff work. The riff work is really interesting. You have stuff in here that is very reminiscent of early Gojira in terms of like using palm muted chugs and like dissonant tags at the end of riffs, but you have some flat out fucking brutal stuff in here that is maybe more akin to bands like Hate Eternal. It's very technical, very atmospheric. The vocals are more roared than they are growled, and I fucking love how they sound on here, but everything about this album, I flat out fucking dig. Their songwriting, I think, is top notch. You get a lot of cool, like, swings from one sound to the next, so you get a lot of cool dynamics in there. There's tribal percussion. There's a lot of really cool atmosphere to build up the fucking mood. And there's surprisingly a fair amount of melody in terms of the hooks. And I would, again, tell you which tracks they were, but holy shit, you just put chicken scratch on the back. I know it's probably just some artistic statement that is just turning out to be an artistic inconvenience for me right now. But man, just put the track names on the back. That would be so much more helpful. But either way, I like how catchy this is for as brutal as it is. And the riff work, again, kind of settling between, like, again, Hate Eternal and Gojira. Like, you have these cool bending, sliding riffs that you would associate with Gojira. But when these guys get into, like, blast beats and just fiercely chuggy territory, it is hard not to just think of, like, just old school death metal, like, you know, fucking Suffocation too. I'd throw in Morbid Angel, like some Floridian stuff. But I don't know, it's the atmosphere in here that keeps it nice and dark and unsettling. And the interplay between the guitars too, like even with the more atonal distant riffs, like you have a lot of like harmonies and interplay to make the riff sort of stand out as like a unique melody. And again, catchy songs. I know the last one I really enjoyed. I just wrote down Naganda. That might be the full name of the track. It might be something else. Again, I just wanted to write down one word to save room on my notes. But I definitely need more Sparkcrown, especially now that they broke up. Still kind of shocked about that. Like, I legit didn't know until I looked up and I was like, oh man, I can't wait for them to put out another full length. And then like, well, that's not happening now. But regardless, I'm going to hunt down all their old shit. And this was an awesome find. This is a really cool deluxe version that opens up into a really cool gatefold too. I mean, it's pretty cool. I dig it. I would probably dig it more if the track names were on the back. But yeah, this is a fucking awesome album. So far, I've liked everything that I've heard by this band, and, well, I'm definitely going to hunt down more. So yeah, if you've never checked out Svartcrown, I'd say this is a great place to start. Wolves Amongst the Ashes was really good too. Definitely more Gojira-ish songs on that one, like a little bit more groovy, less brutal, but that one still definitely has some brutal tracks in it. But yeah, this one is fucking excellent. Either way, check out Sparkcrown. I think this band is excellent, and I already fucking miss them. But yeah, definitely check it out. Candlemass, King of the Grey Islands. This is the 9th album overall from this band of fucking Swedish doom legends. First one with Robert Lowe on vocals from Solitude Aeternus. And honestly, I've kind of overlooked a lot of the Robert Lowe era of Candlemass. Like, I'm a big fan of Johan and Messiah. And I just like, I want to like a change in vocalist. And that goes kind of for the other vocalists that have been in Candlemass too. Like, I don't dislike a lot of the stuff that doesn't have Messiah or Johan on it, but those are the two guys I gravitate towards. But this is awesome. This is absolutely fucking fantastic. So I definitely need to check out more of the Robert Lowe era, because this is, I think, one of their heaviest. Like, it's a very aggressive album. The last one, the self-titled with Messiah on it, I thought was absolutely fantastic. And again, it kind of brought back some heaviness to Candlemass. Like, they got fucking doomy and riffy again. This continues it, but I think this just feels more aggressive. And Robert Lowe fucking kills it on here. His execution kind of sits somewhere right between Messiah and Johan. It has the, you know, more high vocals that, you know, Messiah was definitely known for in terms of like his more gloomy, higher register, but it has the gruffness of Johan, and it just fucking works. This has everything I love about Candlemass on it, like really evil, sinister songs like Devil's Seed and Destroyer, the more like anthemic, doomy stomps that are on Emperor of the Void and Demonia 6, and I love the giant hooky chorus of Stars and Smoke. But honestly, the thing that propels this album are the fucking riffs. These riffs are fucking awesome. Destroyer and Man of Shadows, I think, are like one of the best 1-2 punches on this album. Man of Shadows especially, Jesus man, the riffs on that are so fucking good. Very heavy, again, aggressive and oppressive at the same time, and the lead work at the end of that song, absolutely fucking fantastic. And honestly, there's some cool like intro bits here. Like, the opening track, Prologue, sets up the first track, Emperor of the Void, extraordinarily well, but towards the end of the album, you have the Opal City, which kind of leads in the main riff of the closing track, Embracing the Sticks, which is fucking fantastic. And generally, I don't like filler tracks like that, but they work really well to complement the song that they are fucking building up to. So I can't really knock them that much. I'm so glad I decided to pick this one up because, again, I kind of just glanced over the Robert Lowe era. And I clearly have made a mistake. I'm definitely going to check out the other ones. This one, man, dude, in terms of what I've heard, this might be my favorite one with Robert Lowe on vocals. But, you know, who knows? I haven't listened to really the other ones. I have Psalms of the Dead. I think that one's pretty good. It's not as good as this. This is fucking fantastic. I would put this up against some of the Messiah albums and maybe some of the more recent stuff as some of their best work. This is pretty much as dark and bleak as you want Candlemass, but with some added fucking heft and aggression, and it works so fucking well. Strongly recommend this album if you have never heard it, or like me, you kind of ignored the Robert Lowe era. We all make mistakes, but like me, here's your chance to rectify it. Definitely check this out. This is a fucking awesome album. Definitely looking forward to getting more of the shit that I'm missing from Candlemass, because there's still like a couple albums out there that I'm missing, maybe 3, I don't know. Either way, I'm gonna get some more Candlemass because I gotta complete that discography because most of it's just fucking amazing. But yeah, this one, great find, awesome album, check it out. Dungeon Serpent, World of Sorrows. This is the debut full-length from this one-man, Vancouver-based melodic death metal act. I heard a lot of buzz about this one in 2021, like there were a lot of people talking about it, and I just kind of slipped on it for whatever reason. But I saw this in Caligari's distro. This is the Nameless Grave reissue, which I believe also came out the same year, like it was initially self-released, and this is really fucking good. So yeah, I think the hype machine didn't fail this one. This is really solid melodic death metal, bordering more on straightforward death metal. Like this is very heavy melodeath. In fact, like the guitar tone is very sludgy, kind of an HM2 tone, but it sounds much dirtier. But the riff work is, I don't know, like it still has like a little bit of like the Stockholm sound, but mostly the Gothenburg sound, but like earlier. Like pretty much this sounds like Dismember covering old In Flames tunes from like Lunar Strain and Subterranean and stuff like that, like the very early stuff. There's all the melody on there. It's a little bit folky too, but there's that added aggression, especially behind the production here, which is very raw, but also pretty good. It kind of gives this album a more unique character as far as a lot of melodeath out there. I think the bass is very prominent and very fucking thick. Like it has a nasty fucking tone that you can hear that doesn't get completely drowned out by everything. And vocally, there are no clean vocals, which clean vocals are definitely more of a thing in melodic death metal. Like, you know, big choruses are fine in melodic death metal. I don't have really issue in it. But I like the earlier melodeath stuff where the music itself was more of the big melodic hook with all the intricate lead work and like really cool melodies and such. This has that element, but with like very harsh vocals. Actually, the dude kind of sounds like Ross Dolan from Immolation a bit, which I love that dude's vocals. So yeah, that's pretty cool. There's some cool like light synths peppered in here and like some really interesting like atmospheric sections on songs like Decay and Cosmic Sorcery. But the big centerpiece on here for me is the fucking title track, which is a instrumental that is like over 11 minutes long. And it's absolutely awesome. It pretty much touches on like everything I like about melodic death metal. There are really cool, like sort of folky melodies that are in there, like almost kind of like, you know, Tales from the Thousand Lakes era Amorphous, again, In Flames, early Dark Tranquility. But there's also some really like nasty, aggressive sections that again kind of call back a little bit more towards the Stockholm sound too. And this version actually has a bonus track on here, The Dead Spawn, which is under 2 minutes and easily the most brutal song on here. Like it's just blast beats and, you know, like some really heavy riffs. Like it's a cool song. It just feels like an extra idea. In fact, I think you can hear like a little bit of an outtake after he's done, like saying, yeah, that's it. And I don't know, it just seems like a half idea to tag on there, but I guess it makes the repress worth getting because there is something else on it. I don't know, I got this because I saw it in the distro and I've been hearing nothing but good things about this album, so I finally got it. And yeah, no, this is really fucking good. I dig it overall. I think the production can get a little muddy, especially in the guitar department, because one of the things is I like hearing the melodies really sing out in melodic death metal, and sometimes they get kind of, you know, muddied up in terms of the tone, but overall the songwriting here is fantastic. I think this is a really killer album. Strongly recommended, again, if you like early melodic death metal, again, like more along the lines like early In Flames, early At the Gates, but also like a little bit of the Stockholm sound, like I'd say like Dismember and Entomb too. So yeah, naturally, I like this. It's kind of like the perfect marriage of like different Swedish death metal for me. Well, albeit from Vancouver. Anyway, strongly recommend checking this out. This is a solid album through and through. I definitely look forward to hearing more by this band in the future. And this is fucking killer, so check it out. All right, we're going to get into the stuff that Muttering Muttley sent me, but before I do, in terms of like the stuff that I didn't have, I do want to bring up that he did give me a copy of Drawn Quarter's Proliferation of Disease demo. I already own this one, which is why it is still sealed, and looks like I'm going to have to do a giveaway at some point because I do have some CDs that I already have, and we haven't done a giveaway in a while. So I don't know if I want to pair it with another giveaway with the other guys, but giveaway soon. Possibly very soon. I don't know. But yeah, definitely want to touch on that one. Again, thank you very much, Muttering Muttley, but I do want to get into the stuff that I didn't have that he got me. And we'll start with this band, Svartidaudi. I think that is how you say that. This is an Icelandic black and death metal act / black metal act. This is their second album, possibly their last one, because I believe they broke up not too long after this one. I do know that this band features the drummer from Mispring. I'm not entirely sure how to say either of these bands' names because Icelandic has strange letters that don't exist in my pathetic English alphabet. Like there are ones that are shapely that look like other letters, but I don't know necessarily what sound they make, so I'm just gonna go ahead and butcher this like I usually do. But this was my first exposure to this band, and man, this is some distant, atonal, evil sounding black metal / black and death metal. I think it's more black metal. This album thrives on atmosphere. It sounds evil as shit. The guitars are very distant, atonal, lots of just droning tremolos of pure evil, you know, blast beats, but good pockets of groove in here too, and vocals that sound like some giant humanoid beast roaring inside of its cave. Like this goes for all of the creepy atmosphere it possibly can. I would say kind of close to maybe Deathspell Omega, even though I'm not much of a fan of that band. I think they are somewhat comparable. It's not quite Portal. Like, this is infinitely more listenable than Portal, at least in my opinion. I just can't seem to get into that band. And when I try to, I can't sleep at night. This one I slept just fine. Namely because these guys know how to write some really clever hooks. And in terms of working dissonance into their songs, in terms of it like being kind of the main thing, they know how to write some very clever melodies that actually stand out. Like it isn't just a wall of noise. There's some really cool dynamics at play, like namely Reveries of Conflagration, especially the last track, Aurorum Lux. That song is a bit slower, a bit doomier, like you have big, droning, heavy riffs. At times, it kind of sounds like a demonically possessed Neurosis. I love the fucking vibe on that one, and the fact that it isn't just a constant, you know, like tremolo or constant heavy riffing. There are sections of space in there where it allows the song to breathe, because a lot of this can be really chaotic, especially like the opening Soul Ascending. That song right away just gets down to fucking business. Like there's a little bit of build up and then you get into blasts and atonal fucking tremolos and it just sounds evil and chaotic as hell. And as much as reverb plays like a big part in this style of music, I think one thing they could have turned down the reverb on were the drums, because there were points where I would just kind of lose that echoey snare and it was kind of hard to follow at times. And while it was kind of easy to get kind of lost in the, you know, droning tremolo riffs and all this dissonance, surprisingly, this was really well written. Like, there were songs that really stood out to me. The Howling Cynocephaly, not even entirely sure what that is, but it does howl. Great song. There's some really cool fucking melodies on there. And while the hooks were kind of sparing, they were still there, and that made the album like a more engaging listen for me. I dig this. And actually, I wouldn't mind finding their first album too, because this was really good. Again, I'm not usually a big fan of stuff like, you know, Deathspell Omega, like even Leviathan's kind of hit or miss, and you know, Blue Dust Nord. I mean, it kind of depends on when you catch them, but the times that I've caught them have not made me want to buy in their albums, but that's just me. I know that band gets a lot of respect. But this was really good. If you like, again, any of those bands that I mentioned and just crazy, chaotic, distant fucking crawling riffs, and of course, huge, cavernous, fucking evil-sounding vocals, yeah, definitely check this out. This is really fucking solid. Temple Nightside, Pillar of Damnation. This came out in 2020 on Iron Bonehead Records. This is this band's fourth album. They are an Australian black and death metal act. They actually feature current and former members of Nazul, which I believe is a pretty well-known black metal act there. I've heard of them. I don't think I've ever jammed their music, but this was another one that Muttering sent me, and holy shit, this is good. Like, this is really fucking good. Honestly, all right, I don't know if I would call this black and death metal. Like, it has the sinister vibe of it, but honestly, the music is more death metal. Like, it kind of sounds more like Incantation and Morbid Angel, or bands like Grave Miasma and Dead Congregation as well. Like, very dark sounding, very sludgy riffs, big, nasty reverb drenched bellows and growls. Like, this is just creepy and unsettling, but it's not like cold and evil like black metal. Like, it doesn't bring in many of those elements. Like, even when it's doing like more droning, dissonant tremolo riffs, it feels more like a death metal album than it does a black metal album pretty much on this entire thing. That's generally something I listen for when I listen to fusions with black metal, is like, which side do they lean more on? And this definitely leans more on death metal for me. And very much like a 90s death metal sound, like lots of groove, very riffy. In fact, the song Death Eucharist is just riffier and fuck. I absolutely love that song. And much like Incantation, it does break into a little bit of Death Doom with the Carrion Veil, which slows it down. It's a little bit more atmospheric. There's some really fucking good tremolo harmonies on there that are exquisitely fucking evil. But again, not like black metal evil. Like, this is like death metal bands worshiping Satan versus black metal bands worshiping Satan. I don't know if they do it the same way. I don't know. I just think there's more makeup involved with black metal, maybe. Anyway, it's evil, and I love it. Last track, especially Damnation, there's really cool tribal drums in there, really just dark, dissonant tremolo riffs. Like, that one sounds like the most evil track on here. Like, a lot of these can be just like riffy and brutal, and again, more along the lines of death metal, but that one might have got like a little bit of black metal atmosphere, but I would still say this is pretty much a death metal album. Not really a complaint though, because I fucking love death metal and I like really evil sounding death metal. This is definitely that. If you like, again, Incantation, Grave Miasma, Dead Congregation, any of that shit, definitely check this out. This is a fucking killer album, and I'm going to have to find the other three because I really dug this. So, yeah, Muttering Muttley, thank you again for all the cool stuff. This was the crown jewel out of all of them. I think this is fucking fantastic. So, thank you once again, and to everyone else, check this out. Vile Rites, The Ageless. This is the debut EP from this California-based tech death / progressive death metal act. It could be considered either. I would say progressive death metal is probably closer where they're at. This is a 3-piece band, and I know that their bassist is actually the current bassist for Vector right now, and this is also really good. Now, this is another one I heard a lot of buzz about. I want to say I saw it in maybe a couple of year-end lists, or at least maybe recommended in the comments when I did my EP list, because I did not get a chance to listen to this when it dropped. But this is fantastic. I absolutely love this. In terms of like technical death metal and progressive death metal, like this kind of goes back a bit. Like, this isn't very modern sounding tech death. This sounds more like, later death. I would say Atheist as well. And I even saw comparisons in the archives to Anagmatum and Cryptic Shift, which those are fucking really accurate. I love the crawling riff work on here. It's constantly going. It's very creative. And I don't believe there's a single solo on here. Like, this is all about the riffs and just, cool song structure. The bass work on here is absolutely fantastic too. Like, there's lots of cool proggy flourishes, especially on the title track. There's actually like a bass lead on there, and it sounds fucking amazing. And since there's only 3 of them, might as well talk about the drummer too, which the drummer's fucking fantastic as well. Like, lots of cool intricate fills. I love the interesting little jazzy patterns that pop up. I think it's actually in the Ageless as well. There's like this really cool jazzy breakdown that comes in. But one of the main things I really like about this album is it repeats melodies often. And that is something that is kind of lost in a fair amount of tech death. Like, it's kind of on to the next batch of noodles. And in terms of like repeating good hooks and good melodies, that can, again, kind of get lost in the noodle storm that is a good chunk of modern tech death. As long as like Laid Across the Altars of Time and Spectre of Forgotten Light both repeat really cool moments on here, like big riffy hooks that they kind of build on. And, just make sure that there's a section on there that you remember, because there's a lot of stuff on here. Like, just in terms of all the riff work, all the intricacies, the vocal patterns are really interesting on here too. Like, that's a lot to absorb for a, like, 22, 24-minute EP. But honestly, it sticks with me. Like, I really fucking dug this. The only thing I didn't like about this were the intro and the outro. The intro is just like a lot of droning synths and two words I don't think I have ever seen before. I think it's called Susurrus Balfourianae? I don't know. I don't know what either one of those mean, and I don't think I've ever seen those words before in my life, but it's just a minute of droning ambience, and then the title track kicks off. It's one of those situations where I don't think I needed an intro. But the main culprit is the outro, because it's actually tagged in the end of Spectre of Forgotten Light, which is a fantastic song. But then you're greeted to this long outro of just, again, droning ambient noise. And it could have just faded out and, you know, been done with the track, but they added like an additional 30 seconds or so of just, again, more ambience, and it really wasn't needed. Outside of that, though, this EP is fucking fantastic. The musicianship is absolutely amazing. God, the bass work in here stands out so much, but everyone in here is killing it. Strongly recommend this, again, if you're a fan of bands like Atheist or Cryptic Shift or, again, like Later Death, you'll definitely find stuff on here that you'll dig. So yeah, definitely check it out. Morfin Inoculation. This is the debut album from this California-based death metal act. I actually own their second album, Consumed by Evil. I picked it up on a whim forever ago, ended up really digging it. And, well, he's not on this album, but I do want to bring up the fact that Mike De La O from Skeletal Remains is actually in this band as well, but he didn't come in until the second album. But I figured why not bring him up, because Skeletal Remains is fucking awesome too. Now, honestly, this album, I could pretty much just say, this sounds like fucking Leprosy and kind of be done with it, because it legit does. Like, this sounds like early Death Worship, and I would say specifically Leprosy. The song structure and especially the riffs have just that death sound. Like, there's still that leftover thrash that's in them, especially in a song like Dark Craters. Like, that is a pure thrash riff that opens that. But you listen to just everything about it, like the drums being like a little loud in the mix, that's kind of a Leprosy thing. And dude, the vocals on here sound like fucking Chuck, like early Chuck before he started doing the higher screams, like, you know, first 3 albums. So this definitely has like 90s death metal worship, but also late 80s death metal worship, where there was still that blurring line between death metal and thrash metal. Like, they were kind of just not sure if there was much of a difference between, again, like, you know, Possessed and Scream Bloody Gore. Like, is this a new style? And then, you know, it definitely became a new style. But there's definitely some 90s elements, namely like blast beats, and the blast beats themselves, like, they kind of have that Mike Smith sound to them, where they're getting that full extension heavy hit. And some of the grooves are definitely more 90s death metal, but a lot of this, again, that really early style of death metal. There's even like some punky elements that pop up on here. I think those blasts might have popped up on Identity Killer or Cryostasis. They're very intermittent. Like, there isn't a song on here that is purely a blast beat. A lot of it is like sort of thrashy D beats and just solid grooves. You do have one song on here that is very different from the rest, Primordial, which is a bass solo. And it's a really interesting bass solo, because the melody itself, it sounds very folky. Like, there's a folky touch to it that literally no other part of this album really touches, and I kind of like it. It kind of stands out. I think the bass tone is a little, like, kind of fuzzy and heavy. Like, honestly, this played cleanly might have sounded even better, at least to me, but I dig it. My only issue with this is it does sound a little too much like its source material. Like, it's taking very heavily from Death and, again, a lot of early 90s, late 80s death metal, which there's tons of bands that do, but this is very specific. And it isn't like Gruesome, where Gruesome is very transparent about being a death tribute band, albeit writing original songs, but taking their source material from Death and sort of rearranging stuff. I don't think this band is doing that, but at the same time, I love the sound overall, so it's not really much of a complaint, it's more of an observation. But this is really cool, and honestly, if you like, well, Leprosy or Gruesome in general, like, if you just like that album or that band, you will love this. It has all the hallmarks of that album and that band, and yeah, that's still a pretty awesome style. I really like their second album. I think it's a little bit different than this, but this, again, pure death worship. If you love that band, you'll dig this. So yeah, check it out. And finally, we have OM, or OM, Pilgrimage. This is the third album from this California-based stoner doom act, and while the lineup has changed, Al Cisneros is pretty much the main guy in there. This is when it was just Al and Chris Hakias, two of the former members of Sleep, or at least one that's definitely a former member because he's retired from music altogether. But this is when it was just those two, and no guitars. This is just bass, drums, and vocals, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. The opening track, Pilgrimage, the title track, is kind of just like a meditative jam. It has one bass line that runs through and some light treble percussion, and that's cool for about 3 minutes, but after 3 minutes of it not doing anything else, it kind of started to get old. And then, realizing that track is over 10 minutes long, oh my God, this is not the way to open an album. It's kind of dull. It drags a lot. And like at 5 minutes or so on the track, I'm like, oh my God, do something, change something. But it doesn't. It's Al playing his bass line and chanting like a meditative thing. I don't know. It sounds like coffee house poetry, except, everyone's a stoner doom fan, and I think they're kind of waiting for the big riff too. Luckily, the riffs do show up on Unity of Knowledge of the Godhead and Bemis Theme. Those songs, I think, are really good. You have big sludgy bass riffs. The drum work on it is really solid, like good in the pocket groove. Especially Bemis Theme. I think that's how you pronounce that word. That song is also long, but there are dynamic shifts. Like, yeah, it does drone on riffs, but there's like good steady groove to it. There's like some heft to it, and it does have like some moments of like slow song building and like, ambient moments, like more spacey stuff. I like that track especially. Unit of Knowledge, shortest track on here, I think, and it's just a good riffy banger. Those two songs I think are good, but then at the end of this you have a reprise of Pilgrimage, and it just feels like an extra 6 minutes of stuff that they could have squeezed on the original version, and nothing would have changed. It would have been the same dull track that it already was. Now, this was a band I've been meaning to actually check out. Like, I love Sleep, High on Fire, Shrine Builder. I think that's absolutely excellent. If you haven't checked out our retro review of that album, it's a fucking great album. But I've never actually sat down and listened to this band. And I saw this in a used bin and I decided, hey, why not? Let's just give it a chance. It was like $5. And this may not have been the place to start, even looking at some of the reviews on the archives. Yeah, I may have picked one that was a little bit more divisive. I still might check out more by them, but this was one half really good and one half really fucking dull. So I'm definitely torn in terms of my opinion on this band overall. This being my first listen to one of their albums. I don't know, I'm hesitant about getting more stuff, but I will probably end up checking out more just because I like the people involved. So yeah, I would probably give this like a 2.5, so I'm not like a huge fan of this, but I'm not saying that this is terrible. It's just sort of mid. That's just my opinion. I really didn't get into this, but you still might. I still urge you to check it out, form your own opinions. You might really dig this. It just wasn't for me, but yeah, still give it a chance. All right, that knocks out yet another one. I know it seems like I did one not too long ago, but again, that last one took some serious time to fucking do because my computer got all shitty with me. That situation has been remedied, luckily, so yeah, I still have one more stack and there's still more stuff coming in the mail, so I might work on that a little bit in between listening to more Crowbar because we are going to rank them soon, and eventually I do want to get started back on States of Metal because there's some other states I want to cover, and I think I have the next state on lockdown, and I'm not saying which one it is, but it's definitely a state in the United States, and that's the only hint I'll give. So yeah, plenty of stuff to look forward to in here, and of course, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We're also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our store is there. We do need to restock on shirts, but we will eventually get there. But again, our Patreon link is also on the website, so if you'd like to help us out, we would much appreciate it. Also, Denver Death Fest, we have yet another lineup announcement. I don't know when this video is going to come up, so who knows, by the time that you see this lineup, there will already be more stuff announced because I believe they're going to announce like 5 bands every week until all 30 bands have been announced. So I might be late on this one, but either way, it will be taking place from April 20th to April 22nd at the King Room, which looks like is a pretty cool venue from what I've seen. I still have no idea who all is playing, again, because I've been doing most like the day-to-day stuff. This is definitely more John and Miller's thing, but I'm definitely excited to attend. It'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing you guys out there, sitting back, bullshitting, talking about metal, and watching some killer bands. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for more killer updates on that. And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that stuff. Means the world to us. It's just crazy seeing, again, this channel grow well beyond what I had intended. I don't know what my intentions for this channel were. I don't know, probably just an outlet to talk about music, because clearly that's what I love. No, but you guys fucking rule. You guys keep us going. I know I say the same shit after every fucking video, but I mean it. I feel like I have to thank you because, yeah, without you guys, this channel would not have taken off at all. So once again, I appreciate the living fuck out of every last one of you motherfuckers, and we will catch you later.